Hello everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the September 2021 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. First off, let's take some time to cover a topic which I'm particularly interested in, the rise of hydrogen. More specifically, the rise of hydrogen-powered trains in the US, as Progress Rails to develop one of these hydro units. I don't think that's the official name, but I just call them that for convenience. This is part of a growing movement to produce cleaner engines which run on renewable forms of energy, which has been growing in Europe for some time, and is gradually starting to make its way to North America, with more railroads pledging to purchase these engines such as CP Rail earlier in the year. This move towards hydrogen is even expanding to smaller railroads, as the Southern Railway of BC is in the process of converting a GP9 to run on hydrogen. Back in Europe, hydrogen power is evolving from multiple units to locomotives, as PESA has released their first hydro locomotive instead of an HMU or hybrid. Additionally, hydrogen is being used to fill in gaps of electrification, as diesel-powered sections of the Apennine Railway in Italy is to receive hydrogen-powered train sets. Hydrogen is even being paired with other forms of new technology, as Russia is to test a hydrogen-powered autonomous locomotive. With this large amount of development on this new form of energy, which only emits water molecules, it's great to see the rise of this clean power around the world, and I'm certainly interested to see what other railroads in the US and beyond utilize my favorite form of renewable energy. Up next, in order to recognize the benefits of rail travel, the Connecting Europe Express train set is on tour all throughout Europe, as it's being carried by a different locomotive in each nation the Talco set is in, such as this Medway Sprinter which was beautifully painted for this event. However, I do not think this route includes Britain for some reason, likely since they left the EU, but regardless, Britain is still focusing on rail sustainability and trying their best with quality, as Southern Railway has won Operator of the Year at the National Rail Awards, and the rail-based nation also has officially opened the Doncaster Railway Museum with LNER C1-251 and V2-4771 Green Arrow. Speaking of steam, the Kentucky Steam Heritage Program has held their technical first steam excursions with Lehigh Valley Coal No. 126. Nevada Northern Railway 81 has been restored in black and green. My favorite Class 1 has stated how Amtrak and freight can coexist. Progress Rail has released the GP34 Eco, although I don't think they photoshopped the engine in the right angle. And they forgot to edit this piece of grass. CSX has started repainting their locomotives with the railroad's website and has dropped the boxcar logo, with this repaint starting on an AC 4400 CW. A judge has ruled that AI systems cannot be formally recognized as inventors. Virtual Railfan installed a new rail cam at Springfield, Massachusetts Union Station. Metrolink has refurbished their original Bombardier bi-level coaches, and Canadian Pacific has repainted ES44AC number 8757 into an orange livery to respect Truth and Reconciliation Day, out of respect for the First Nation Indigenous tribes of Canada. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. Ouigo is offering classic loco haul trains in addition to their high-speed service, thus offering older electric locomotives and coach cars a new life. A 21st anniversary livery is planned for Holt trains, likely on a Class 802. An operator of last resort, otherwise known as the British government, has immediately taken over the Southeastern franchise after a breach of agreement, and this happened right after the inherited Class 707 beam trains went into service, with their stylish livery. Airedale General Hospital won the Transformer Pacer contest as they preserved 114001, and British Rail has released a green logo with 5 different shades of green to promote sustainability. At the same time, a Florida man is likely promoting something similar by planting a tree in a pothole in Fort Myers. While California is not being as efficient as they're seeking permission for a route change, the autumn excursion train in West Virginia has been cancelled due to COOF cases in the state. 2 LARR C1 coaches have been scrapped on the former Saratoga North Creek due to poor maintenance, meaning that there are only 8 of these prototypes left in existence. Attilo Supsi has changed the school schedule. A research study has shown that commuting by rail improves a passenger's work ethic. Ulaanbaatar Railway has started construction of a children's railway for children to gain experience in railroading. Oscar Myers is offering one of their Wienermobiles to NASA for transporting astronauts. How about using the NASA Railroad? An unidentified car has been spotted on top of an intermodal train. I think that might be a Dodge Challenger or a Chevy Camaro. A BNSF-9 and Gevo have been spotted pulling only 3 tanker cars. An Amtrak maintenance vehicle has been spotted in Greencastle, PA, which is not in Amtrak's range. And SEPTA is to rename their subway services to the Metro, as well as giving them a new black and white logo, with letters representing the existing routes. I can see the reasoning behind each of these lines, but why rename the Norristown line the Montgomery line? I would think they will have at least renamed it to N for Norristown, but I suppose that could potentially confuse riders with the existing regional rail Norristown line. That and Norristown is in Montgomery County, while the media lines are in Delaware County, so naming these lines after county also makes sense, I guess. But why do you have to use L for the Market Frankfurt lines to describe lines instead of, I don't know, the M or F, or even the MF? Something that's a bit more specific to the route instead of just lines? Oh look, it's the lines train. I suggest rethinking the naming for that line in particular. And I had to include this line to make my point clear. Speaking of corporate branding, Lumo is the new name for open access service on the East Coast Main Line, which was formerly known as East Coast Trains Limited, and operations between London King's Cross and Edinburgh Waverley will start next month. And it's not subject to franchising, might I add. This service will be calling at a total of 5 stations and will provide express rival service with their 5 Class 803s against the state-owned LNER on the historic East Coast Main Line. After seeing the logo and livery for this railway, I do have this to say. Please let this be an experimental livery. I'm sorry, but this has to go down as one of the worst liveries for a railway company in all of Britain's expansive railway history. It's just a factory-built blue paint scheme with the Lumo logo on its side. Also, I'm not a big fan of the logo itself, since the O is randomly sticking out above the rest of the word. I mean, I can kinda see them trying to be creative, but it isn't that satisfying to look at. So overall, I give this logo a 2 out of 10, and this livery gets a resounding 0 out of 10. Now that I'm on here, I don't think I've checked the future operating companies section on Wikipedia in a while. Let's see what they have. Yes! Now that's a great logo. Not only are they bringing back the British Rail double arrow, but they beautifully utilize the 5 different shades of blue out of respect for Scotland. Bravo to ScotRail for this fantastic logo design, which gets a solid 25 out of 10. 20 for the logo and 5 since I'm part Scottish. But nevertheless, back to Lumo. Even if their logo and current livery is outright boring, I'm hopeful that this livery is only temporary, since the railway is likely still deciding on a final livery since the official brand name was announced literally a few weeks ago, especially with service to begin relatively soon. It's also going to be very interesting to see open access competition with fewer stations against the state-owned successor of Virgin Trains on the route of the Flying Scotsman. So rail fans, expect some epic races between the LNER 800s and Lumo 803s sometime soon. Now here is the follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. GO Transit has confirmed their expansion to London, Ontario as part of an expansion of the Kitchener line with absolutely no new stations and instead using the existing Via Rail stations. Just look at this 43-kilometer gap between Kitchener and Stratford. How about adding some of the stations listed in this 1943 CN timetable? But regardless, it's still great to see this commuter railroad expand all the way to London, and hopefully this encourages future expansion to other nearby towns. Speaking of Via, new trailer cars for their venture coaches have been constructed and will begin testing soon, while OBB has released their trailers for the Nightjet service. Now hydrogen-powered Island is testing in its home nation of France. CG Railway's new rail ferry has entered service along with EMUs for Rigi. A vegetable oil-powered Class 66 is on display, while GB Rail Freight 66796 has been named the Green Progressor by a rail fan. And CP Rail is to officially acquire KCS, after rivaling Canadian National has dropped its bid for the smallest Class 1. With this acquisition likely being final, it is unknown what the final name of this new company will be, whether it will be an entirely new name such as CPKC or just Canadian Pacific. Trains magazines also released an article suggesting different names for the new Class 1s, other than just the letters CPKC, such as Canadian Southern, Midwest North American, or simply Midwestern. If anything, I would suggest either keeping the existing name CP or CPKC, which would at least keep the livery of both Class 1s, similar to how the H2 livery for BNSF, as hated as it is, keeps the heritage of the BN and Santa Fe. But whatever the final name is, CP's Heritage Program is not going down without one last excursion, as Canadian Pacific 2816 is to run an excursion from Calgary all the way to Mexico City in recognition of this merger, as this engine will be the first steam locomotive likely in history to run in Canada, the US, and Mexico. In regards to stations, congratulations to Wakefield Westgate for winning the Best Large Station of the Year award, as well as Capstan British Columbia for hosting a new SkyTrain station, while work continues on Birmingham Curzon Street for HS2, and Hazen Harlington Station is just reopened. In other news, Stadler is to deliver Tango trams to Bosnia and Herzegovina for the first time, while Westbahn has unveiled their history EMUs. CargoNet has also purchased a Stadler Eurodual, while PKP has revealed their Stadler Flirts with other refurbished stock, as well as 2 of these 3 stories covered by IRJ involving Stadler products. Alstom is to produce Extrapolis sets for Melbourne, while Siemens is to produce Miro EMUs for Agilis. The Sotestu Series 21000 has entered service. Samara Metro has begun overhauling the Model 81, while the Moscow Big Circle line started testing. London Underground's Northern Line extension to Battersea Power has opened, while National Geographic has completed testing for their Resolution cruise ship. Talbot DM90s have been painted red for SKPL, while Alpha Trains has repainted their Bombardier Talons. And Marta is holding a design vote for one of 4 new liveries for their Stadler subway cars. I say vote for the bottom left. And happy anniversary to the RTD N-Line, PKP, and the Polish Rail, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Pocket Streamliners. And now, the top story of the September 2021 Pensyfan Periodical is Salt Lake City proposes a restoration of the Rio Grande Station. As the ultimate comeback story of the century, a new proposal has gained traction to convert the former Rio Grande Station in Salt Lake City into an underground passenger terminal while converting the above-ground right-of-way into a mixed-use development. Once opened, this station will replace the existing Salt Lake Central Intermodal Hub, whose Amtrak counterpart consists of an Amtrak and a Lone Island platform. So the replacement of these 2 mini-stations is long overdue, especially for such a large city. You know something's wrong when the commuter railroad has a better station than the inner-city railroad. Even though this plan has been out since late 2020, and is linked in the description for further info, new images and details of other rail projects in the area have been released, as this plan has gained the interest of numerous contractors, which is another step closer towards completion. One of the new images shows the glass canopy being extended to the Amtrak platform instead of only the 2 island platforms for UTA, even though I'm not sure if this new image of the canopy displays that, as well as a bus platform next to the proposed light rail on Rio Grande Street. Additionally, there is also a new map which shows the effects the station relocation will have on light rail service, as the blue line is essentially going to loop around the Rio Grande Station and directly connect with the red line going to University Station, the new silver line, as well as the addition of new routes such as the orange line from the downtown loop to Holiday, the yellow line which goes along a mini loop downtown, and the black line from the university to the airport. Of course, how could I forget the proposed Lake to Mountain Corridor commuter service from Tuele to Park City, and judging from this concept art, they'll likely be using Stadler Flirts for the commuter service. Now back to the Rio Grande Station itself. One of the major stations which the developers compared this project to was Reno, Nevada, which also moved the rail service underground while redeveloping the land above. But this station has been somewhat downgraded as it lost one of its platforms and one of its express tracks. Salt Lake City, on the other hand, is restoring all 6 of their original tracks with 3 island platforms, albeit the same amount of tracks for Amtrak and UTA as the current station, but still giving the original station's grandness by increasing its capacity and restoring the old station itself. I for one absolutely support the project as it will bring forth the restoration of a historic station in the largest growing city in America. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.